welcome to this video, and this video is going to be called The 2 Albums by Led Zeppelin That Nobody Likes. Right, now that's a clickbaity title, right, because loads of people like every single album by Led Zeppelin, absolutely every single album. They all sold millions, they all went to #1 in about 18 billion countries, right, so for me to put that, but my least favourite Led Zeppelin album is In Through the Outdoor, and that to me is it's like an okay album, which is, that's bad for Led Zeppelin, right? It's got tracks that are supposed to be funny that I don't really find funny. There doesn't seem to be much energy on there. There's too much keyboards, not enough guitar playing. Caruso Laramba has got some nice moments, but goes on for too long. So that's the album I like the least. But there's 2 albums that I absolutely love, right, that other people don't have so much love for, and I want to talk about those 2 albums. And the reason I want to talk about them is because now, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you will have noticed these 2 box sets here, right, which is Led Zeppelin Presents box set and Led Zeppelin the Coda box set. Now you may be wondering why those are there, because I love both of those albums. Now when I was working with Robert on some stuff, he kindly offered to said, you know, he said, what are your 2 sort of favourite what are your favourite Led Zepp albums? And I said, oh well, my favourite album is Led Zepp 3, which it actually is. That's my favourite Led Zepp album. And he gave me a nice vinyl of that. And I said, but I'm also very partial to Presents. And Robert is too. And I think that album is one album which doesn't get the love it should get. And so he gave me this here, which is, if I can pull it out, the box set of Presents. There is, what an absolute beast. Now if I open this up, I'm going to show you this box set, because I've had a couple of messages, people saying, tell us about the box set. Now as I open it up, stored in here are 2 autographs from Anthony Kiedis, who is the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They've been stored in there, and I didn't expect that to be in here. And they're not mine, I'm just storing them. I've never met Anthony Kiedis. I've met Chad Smith, but that's another story. We get a lovely print of this incredible album cover on here. And then when we open it up, we have a whole bunch of stuff in here. There's a couple of CDs in this box set. We have a beautiful vinyl pressing of this album, right, which I don't, so if you can see in the corner here, there's an embossed Swan Song, which I don't think I had on my original copy. I don't know if you can see, because it's just, you could feel it. Isn't this album incredible? Right, this, the artwork on this is Hypnosis at their peak, you know. Led Zeppelin at their peak, where they don't need to put their name or the name of the album on the cover or anywhere. There's nothing, and you open it up, there's nothing. It says, it's just pure Zeppelin, isn't it? When they made this album, this black thing, and now that's interesting. On the original, you've got this, right? It's still here. So that came in the vinyl album. They've still got it. I've got the original vinyl that I bought when I was a young lad. And there's an actual photograph of the object. This is the object. And I think they made, I don't know how many they made, but they made a certain run of these, and they went out to various people in the music industry. I've held one at one point. I did a gig with Robert, and someone came along that was friends with Robert, and he brought along his objects. And I can remember we were drinking in the pub, and he said, oh, look what I've got. And he stuck it on the table. And I was like, oh my God. So, that's the actual vinyl album. If I just put that back into there, or should I just do this after the video? I won't bore you with that. There's a whole ton of stuff in here, right? There's also a companion. Look at this, a companion vinyl album, and this has got 2 Ones Are One, which is the original version of Achilles' Last Stand. There's another version of For Your Life. There's a track called 10 Ribs and All, Carrot Pod Pod, brackets pod. There's another version of Royal Orleans, and there's another version of Hot Song from Nowhere. These were reference mixes of the work that were made halfway through. Incredible stuff. I feel that this album, right, look at the book. We'll get to the book in a minute. Look at that. Get to the book in a minute. I'm sure those of you watch the channel will be dying for me, or some of you at least, the Led Zeppelin have been dying for me to pull these extremely expensive box sets out and show you them. I think that Led Zeppelin were an incredible band. When they got into the studio, Jimmy Page's brilliant in the studio meant that the albums were produced in a certain way. Lots of overdubbing, lots of studio trickery, you know, and they're products of the studio. I feel with Presence, that's the one album where you get to hear the band. You know, there's no keyboards on that. I'm pretty sure there's no keyboards on it. It's guitar, bass, drums, vocals. There's a harmonica solo on Nobody's Fault But Mine. But I feel that if you really want to hear Zeppelin as a band at their best, it's Presence. Bonham is off the scale on it, and Jimmy Page is off the scale. Bonham's playing on Into the Outdoors, fantastic. That's the one great thing about that album. He is at his peak at this point, right? Anyway, here's the book that you get, right? Can you see this? I'll just show you. There's loads of incredible photos from that period of Led Zeppelin here. Right, some of the artwork that wasn't used on that album. Right, this is very interesting black and white stuff here. Alright, and there's what they went for the cover. You can see all the different takes they did of that family. This is when when record companies and bands had budgets, and an album cover was a work of art, you know. Here's the original mixes. Here's the band. There we go. So this book comes, you know, for any Led Zeppelin fan, there's so much stuff here. There's the box that the object came in. Some newspaper stuff. I won't go through the whole. There's some incredible photos of the band in full flight. There they are. So that's what I got in this box set. And the reason why I've got it is because Presence really is one of my favourite albums. I think if I just stick that back and pull the other one out, we'll have a bit of a go at that as well. There's a record actually slipped down the back. Oh, shall I sort that out? God knows what that is. Let's put that back into there. Coda. Now, so often when I've talked about Led Zeppelin, Coda really gets a rough going over, right? And I don't think that's fair at all. I bought all the Led Zeppelin albums when I was a kid. Every single one blew me away, and then the last one I bought was Into the Outdoors. I bought Led Zepp 2 first, then I bought Led Zepp 4, then I bought 1, 3, and I went through physics, and I did it in order. That's how I bought them. And every one was just an incredible experience, you know, until I got Into the Outdoor. I wasn't so impressed with that. And then, around about that time, they announced another Led Zeppelin album was coming out. And I got to be honest, I approached that as a youngster with trepidation. When I got Coda, I was blown away by it. I thought it was incredible. And I want to champion Coda here, right? And so if we open the box set up, I'm opening the box set up now. We have the book here that comes with it. We'll have a look at that in a minute. We have the original vinyl here, right? The Coda vinyl. You know, we have that incredible photo of the sort of, I think it's a desert where they've, done some sort of sciencey thing where they can grow crops out in the desert. And there's the inside, just like you remember it, you know. We have got, on top of that, a nice version of the artwork. We've got companion audio. I'm going to go through that couple of CDs as well. So it's all in here, but we'll go to the companion audio. Now, if you're a Led Zepp fan, right, and you really want to get deep into stuff you haven't heard before, it's this box set. Because that's what Coda is. You know, if you're a Led Zeppelin fan and you're going through all the albums, then Coda is where we start to sift through all the other stuff, you know. And if we go back to the original album, I'm going to go through it track by track and tell you what I think, right? So it opens up with We're Gonna Groove. Now, We're Gonna Groove is a track by Benny King. The original... Oh, I'm losing my stuff here. I don't want this to get messed up. They're very expensive, you see, these. I couldn't have afforded to buy them. I was very lucky that Robert gave me a copy. I'm a lucky man. I am a lucky man. This here... Right, I've just lost my track now. Right, so We're Gonna Groove is the first track on Coda. I'm back on track now. And it was originally written by Benny King. The originals is like a sort of swinging, you know, jazzy soul number. It's like that type of track. I know this because when I played with Robert, we were banned from playing any Led Zeppelin songs. But what Robert would do, he would bring the Led Zeppelin influence into our set very surreptitiously. And we did a version of We're Gonna Groove, which was much more like the original. But here, We're Gonna Groove here, this is Led Zeppelin, right? Early on, because I think We're Gonna Groove, what year was this recorded? I think it's around about, it's the first or second album, I think we're talking. This is Led Zeppelin very early on. And I think they just burn on it, right? To me, that is there with Whole Lot of Love, Communication Breakdown, Immigrants song. That We're Gonna Groove is them just burning. It's classic Led Zeppelin. Poor Tom, which I think is probably coming from sort of Led Zepp 3, maybe Led Zepp 4, is as strong as any of the more folky, rocky stuff they have ever done. I think John Bonham's drum part on that is one of my favourite John Bonham beats. It's one of the signature beats, you know, where I could play that. Da-dum, dum, dum, da-dum, ba-dum, da, da-dum, dum, dum, da-dum, da. You can play that now, and you go, oh, if you knew the tune, you go, oh, that's Poor Tom. So I think those two opening tracks are absolute classics of Led Zeppelin. They're really, really strong tracks. Then we have I Can't Quit You Baby, which I think was recorded around about 69, 70. I think it comes from the sound check of the Royal Albert Hall gig. And I'm having to pull this from my memory banks, you know, as we speak. It could well be the sound check for the concert that then came out as the Led Zeppelin DVD, you know, the Royal Albert Hall footage. But I think this is from the sound check. You know, when you listen to it, there doesn't seem to be any audience noise on it. For me, the first Led Zeppelin album is sunk a little bit by the sort of British blues boom versions of these, you know, blues tracks. There's just too much of that on there for me, you know, and even things like Days Are Confused, they argue that this is sacrilegious, but that meanders a little bit for me. I Can't Quit You Baby is one of those moments where I've never been a fan of out and out blues rock. I've played it, but I've never been a fan of it. I sort of distrust it. I distrust white blokes playing the blues. I believe you have to do something with it. So when Led Zeppelin do with the Levy Breaks, they've done something with the blues. They made it something else. But when they do I Can't Quit You Baby, it sounds like, you know, a bunch of white guys trying to sound like Muddy Waters. That's what it sounds like to me. And that sinks the first album. I know some people love that. This is just my personal taste. I have a problem with the blues. There will be a video at some point where I discuss my problem with the blues. But I feel that this live version burns. It's heavier, It's more out there. It's going towards what they would do later on when they tackle the blues, where they really seem to nail it. If you listen to T for One off Presence, that is an incredible take on the blues. Nobody's Fault But Mine. They found a way of doing it, and I think it's just this version is better than the one on Led Zeppelin 1 for me. So the first 3 tracks on here are absolutely brilliant. Then we have Walter's Walk. I think Walter's Walk could well be an outtake from Houses of the Holy. Houses of the Holy is a great album. It's very what's the word? There's lots of different stuff on Houses of the Holy. When I got it, I loved it. It's like their most proggiest album. But I was missing the rockers, really. What are the rockers on Houses of the Holy? Is it The Ocean? The Ocean's a great rocker, but it's almost like a bit of a comedy track, isn't it? It's like this song about a 3-year-old kid, and and it's sort of Robert's voice is a bit munchkin-y. I love it. It's weird. It's strange. What else is there that rocks on House of the Holy? I'm trying to think. Walter's Walk really rocks. Yeah, but what would that not have been a better track than, say, Jamaica? If Jamaica was sat here on this now as one of the outtakes, what would we be thinking? I don't know. I can't. It's really hard to talk. It's really hard for me to talk about Led Zeppelin. You got to understand. I play for Royal Plan. I know Roberts. I'm gone inside that history, and then on the other side, I absolutely love this band, and it really feels sacrilegious to even criticise them. I've come on here to champion 2 albums that I know other people go, they're not so keen on them. I think these are 2 brilliant albums. I think Coda's a brilliant album. Right, when you turn it over to side 2 is definitely not so strong as side 1 on Coda. Ozone Baby, Darlene and Wearing and Tearing. These are tracks, outtakes from In Through the Outdoor. Now, I'm going to tell you straight, Wearing and Tearing is better than anything on In Through the Outdoor, right? Ozone Baby is better than some of the stuff. Why did that track? Darlene's similar sort of exploration of sort of Elvis Presley sort of boppy territory for them, and that one's okay. And then we've also got Bonzo's Montreux. Right, I'm going to tell you something else. I'm not a big fan of Moby Dick. I love the riff, I love the tune bit, but I could do without the drum solo. The drum solo on Led Zeppelin 2, that is for me probably the lowest point of Led Zeppelin 2, is that Bonham drum solo. It's I don't know. I there's technically a drum solo in A Whole Lot of Love when all that percussion comes in, but that seems to have a point. With Moby Dick, that drum solo, he's doing it with his hands, I suppose. But I didn't know that when I was a kid. It just sounded like this. I don't know. I always compared it to what's it called? Rat Salad, which is the drum solo piece by Black Sabbath. Off Paranoid, which is another example of Sabbath written off Led Zeppelin. But that's way better solo. Bill Ward's going for it. John Bonham's an incredible drummer, but I never felt that Moby Dick drum solo really did him justice. And then you have the live one on Song Remains the Same, which I think they just should have cut down. I don't know. Just goes on and on and on. Here, Bonzo's Montreux. Now that's a John Bonham drum solo. Magnificent. Does everything that we want Bonham to do. That incredible beat that he plays, which is like that's Earl Palmery, but it's Bonham at the same time, and that fast right foot, and all the overdubs and the electronic treatments, and it just stands up. It's absolutely brilliant. Now I know for non-drum fans, they were probably, Ozone Baby, Darlene was okay, and then Bonzo's Montreux, and then we want some Zeppelin, and then Wearing Tearing, that was good. That may well be what has affected people's opinion of this album. I'm just going to do a very quick run through of the extra stuff you get on here. So on here we have We're Gonna Groove as an alternative mix. If It Keeps On Raining, which is an early version recorded in 1970 of When the Levee Breaks. We've got another mix of Bondrose Montreux. Baby Come Home, which I think is a completely new track. Sugar Mama, Poor Tom, Travelling Riverside Blues, which is one of Zepp's great tunes that never, appeared on any of the albums. Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? Another great legendary Led Zepp tune that didn't appear on any of the albums. It's got a version of Four Sticks. Now, these are the versions, this and Friends. These are the tracks that they recorded with the Bombay Orchestra. This is incredible stuff. If you've never heard this stuff, go and check it out. This is Led Zeppelin really going down the Indian classical music route. Recorded in 1972. I'm very interested, as you know, with Indian music crossing over with rock music and jazz. This is incredible stuff. Why they never put this out, I do not know. St. Tristan's Sword, recorded in 1970. And then we've got a rough mix of the Wonton Song, a rough mix of Bring It On Home, a rough mix of Walter's Walk, and a rough mix of Everyone Makes It Through, which is the early title for In the Light. This is a monumental album, and if you put this together and think about this as being the outtakes of Led Zeppelin, these two albums here, we have something really, really special. So, I'm championing Coda here. I think it's a brilliant album. Here's the thing. I'm going to finish up here. I'll find you a nice photograph to finish up with of the band. Look at this. They're so iconic, this band are. Because you see that there? Right, look at that. I'll get it lined up into my thing. Look at that. So, these are the two albums that I think should be championed by Led Zeppelin, one of the greatest rock bands of all time. If you like this video, please like it. If you want to hear more of my ramblings about music, please subscribe. If you want to know when I do this stuff, press the notification bell. If you want to support me, there's a Patreon down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.